we have to do that. When you look at Station 3, it's only, what, 4 years older, and amazingly, it has the same problems that Station 2 does. We, as district administrators, have not put any money into our infrastructure, that $8.5 million. And here you see it again, a roof, mechanicals, parking lot, bay floors, lighting, and a generator. And that's just scratching the tip of the iceberg. Because once you start tearing into the roof, I'm sure we'll find something else. So, all that happening. Capital replacement we have now, the district is good enough to give me some leeway in purchasing, where we had a district that always wanted to pay for cash. Now I've talked them into a lease payment, a set payment. And they let me spend about $450,000 a year of our money on payment plans. So I have a schedule out of when stuff pops up, and then I can plug in another item. The ambulances, for instance, the Quint, that's all within the replacement plan. The engines, every piece of equipment we have, every vehicle, cardiac monitor, dive gear, radios, all sit around $450,000 a year. Projects, here we go, adding some stuff. You know, this is stuff we're going to add to the capital replacement plan. It just keeps compounding of stuff we're responsible taking care of for our community. The thing we have to do is sell it. It's their stuff, it's not yours. You have to treat it like theirs. When you take a $5,000 portable radio and leave it sitting on the floor, or leave it hanging, or you drive away with it, it's $5,000 of somebody else's money. Some of the people are sitting here, and I'm sure they really appreciate and will stand up and pay taxes in this town when they see you mistreating that. You have to think about that, because it's not yours. New engine or new station, $3,600,000, $260,000 for a new ambulance. Turnout gear costs about $3,000 per set. 85 sets, that's $250,000 to replace our 8 to 10-year-old sets of gear. And just about everyone, myself included, wears 8 to 10-year-old sets of gear.
That's not counting air packs either then, right?
Well, throw air packs on there, throw another $400,000 in there for a air compressor and air packs. So that may be tapped on. I'm still holding. You know, even out of that $400,000, we have to pay 10% of that. So we only get 90% of that $400,000. So we had $40,000 sitting in there waiting to spend. Now, that helps offset my cost for that difference. You know, that kind of eases the pain. But it's just a short-term fix. What we have to tell everybody is check your ballot twice, and it doesn't mean get back in line. It means when you go to the polls, you have to check yes twice. There's 2 questions, and we need both those questions to fix our problems. We have big problems. They're almost insurmountable. This task alone, not only to ask 1 question, but to ask 2. For those of us who were here during the other referendums, it's tough. You know, I don't know if anybody, Max, were you one of the guys spit on? Or was that Bryce? Some old lady spit in their face.
I got some dogs released at me, that was me.
Well, that had nothing to do with the referendum.
Said my neighbor.
I don't know who it was.
But you have to imagine, there's gonna be opposition. There's gonna be, and I posted this an hour ago on Facebook and on our website, and we already got 2 frowning faces and 1 negative comment. That's all it took. But we did reach, I think, 700 people so far, was the number, or something crazy like that. There's a lot of positive support for this. I need, and when we look at the numbers, and how I come up with my voting number of how many people we need, more stats. Nope, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Primary election. We all know what a primary election is. Primary is when you vote by party who your candidate's going to be for president. So the Democrats put their candidate up, the Republicans put their candidate up. So last year, 2016, who knows the mix? What was happening in 2016 in the election? It was duly contested. Republicans were trying to get their candidate in there, and the Democrats were trying to get their candidate, so they come out and they're all fighting, so both parties came out. In Antioch Township, almost 7,500 voters came out to vote in that election. So if I look at that number, and I'm hoping it's not, that's both parties coming in. The year before, or the election before that in 2012, who's the incumbent?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. It was a Democrat. Democrats had their person running for president, and the Republicans were jamming it home. So in Antioch Township, 3,800 people came out to vote. Republicans, Democrats. Now here, in 2008, it was a duly contested election, about 5,500 votes. So when I look at 2008, 2012, duly contested, the numbers are pretty consistent with the growth of what our community had over those 8 years. I go back and I say, well, just the Democrats are coming out. You take a step back a little further. We're anticipating about 5,000 people to come out again with just Democrats, if I look at it that way. So if I half that, I need 3,000 yes votes twice. And when I say I get a little selfish, and I talk about me, but it's us. We need it. And without you knowing this information, or at least having some sort of information at hand, you can't come up and go, I don't know what it's for. Well, you're gonna get a raise. Maybe, I hope so. I hope, maybe he'll hire us full-time. It's not a traditional job. It's not gonna go that way. We cannot afford it. You have to tell people what it's for. It's for additional staff to cover the number of calls that are going up. It's to cover the infrastructure that they own. And I turned to, those 150, or there's about 120 people at the cow that night. And I said, tell me you wouldn't sit at your house worth $8.5 million and not take care of it and watch the walls fall off it and the floor crumble underneath you. I know you don't want that. You're tasking me and our department and our trustees with our best guess as to how we keep this place going in the long term. How we get to you in the right amount of time. And a sheet of paper, I think I don't know if everybody grabbed a little sheet of paper I put out there. This is gonna be some of your talking points. We're gonna make a nice little tri-fold folder for you to have in an engine or have it. Remember before we said we couldn't say vote yes? Well, we're gonna say vote yes twice. You got it. We need it. So we'll wait. I'm the one who'll go to jail. I haven't been there in a while, so I want to see how different. But what we're talking about is our calls going up. When we say we want to get to you in 6 minutes, that's our goal. You all see in my report, I want to, we look at 6 minutes from the time the caller picks up the phone to the time we get to your house and have contact with you, 6 minutes. And we're running about 5:40 to 5:30. And those numbers are starting to swing up. On a stormy day, I can pull it out and our call volume goes, the night or the week we ran 20 calls a day for 3 days in a row, 20 plus calls. We weren't even close to that number because you were coming back. It was taking longer to get to them. What happens in 6 minutes, paramedics? Or anybody? Tissue death, right? Tissue starts dying. And I told all those people, we want to get to you in 6 minutes before your tissue starts dying. At least gives you a chance. Now, we're still gonna come. If this referendum fails, we're still gonna come, we're gonna operate the way we are, we're gonna do the best we can, we're gonna show up and give them the best treatment we know how to give them. It's just gonna take us longer to get there. And that's where it's gonna start making the difference. The more calls we have, the longer it's gonna take. We may have to stack a call, until Lake Villa can come in, or Spring Grove or Salem. It's happened before, it happens, and it's happening more and more. So we tell them, we want to get there before your tissue starts dying off. What else happens in a fire? Fire doubles in size about every 2 minutes, right? Based on today's fuel packages that they have in their house, it happens even faster. You go to UL's website, I'm sure you all have been there, and watch how fast that fire goes. And what are we building? We're not building the old legacy homes. They're all modern construction, gusset plate, and we've all had, at any given point, most of us have had conversations about how that fire burns. So people have to realize that. We talk about their $8.5 million of aging firehouses. We talk about how we started collecting in 2016 really good data. You know, and if somebody wants to know when we talk about data, what do they want to know? Because I can get that information for them. And it's not made up. I can guarantee you that. I'll show you exactly where I get it, how I get it. I'll sit them down at my desk and they'll wait for me to figure it out. Because there's different data points. You have to figure out what data point you want. That's why it's so important when you guys do your PCRs, you do your fire reports. Those points, all those little boxes are data points. And I'm able to extract that and I throw that right in their face. Because data does not lie. We don't lie about our calls going up 12% in 2 years. That's unheard of. Shortfalls in the fund, you know, we don't have enough money to operate the way we think they should, the service they should have. They're the ones who'll dictate, and we have to tell them that, remind them of that. You can tell us what kind of service you want. You want to wait for 8 minutes, sir? You're gonna wait 8 minutes, and that's just the way it's gonna be. You don't wanna give us a shot at your house out in, off of Lake Catherine? That's fine too, I can live with that. I know I tried to give you what I thought you needed. That's, at the end of the day, I go home and I go to a fire department, that reaches these same goals. We don't make up these goals, it's standard, right? Anybody who works in other fire departments, you know, or has, these are standards of what we wanna get to people in. 2 questions we talk about, how much it's gonna cost them. After Christmas, after New Year's, I'm gonna start hosting, I'll probably have 3 or 4 of them, is town hall meetings again. Those of you who lived through those before. I've already started to schedule meetings in all the civic organizations that I could get to. Anytime I can get out and put this on, so people have the information and can ask the questions, so far they understood it. Everybody I've talked to gets it. Now, do they tell me that to their face? When you pull up and you see a no vote or a no sign, how are you gonna treat that patient? Probably the exact same way, but what happened the last go around? You pulled up, somebody wasn't breathing, and the group that went in came back and said, I was scared shitless because if we fucked up, they were gonna say, you did it because we were voting no. They got the vote no sign. These are the things you're gonna be up against, and you don't have to worry about that. In the end, if you can't answer it, you tell them you can't answer it, and you refer them straight to me or any part of our administrative group. And it'll eventually end up on my lap. And I'll get to them. I'll answer every phone call, every email to make sure they have the information they need. So we have the best chance, but I need your help to sell that. You gotta keep doing the great job you've been doing. You have to have some basic knowledge and take the time when you're sitting at the table, having coffee or donuts and, you know, messing around. Look at this information, try to remember some of it. You're not gonna remember all of it, but remember some of it. And remember that you're gonna have a pamphlet to say, you know what, I got something here. Look at this. And all that does is refer them to me in my email and phone. So, closing, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Those of you who didn't come, you're gonna have to live through this horrible video. Now, if you guys have any questions about this, you're more than welcome to keep it to yourselves, because I'm tired of it. Does anybody have any questions about this or about this process?
Darlene does.
Oh,
Yeah, mention that.
Trying to
Is there
think
any other referendums that are gonna show up on the ballot for this type?
not as far as I know. The schools have all said there's no, they're not going for referendums. We should be the only referendum on the Antioch Township ballot, unless, now, you have till December 13th or something to file. You know, and people, it has happened where somebody will pull a crazy Ivan and throw it in. But as from, I've talked to the superintendents of all the schools, nobody's planning on going for a referendum. That's the big one I worry about.
Right.
Parks aren't, libraries and things, nobody's on the ballot but us right now.
And when was the fire last referendum again?
Which one?
The most recent.
2016 was the consolidation referendum.
Okay,
2014, 2015, I think, was the EMS tax for the second time that passed.
Now, if this does pass, this is the last one. Like, we
This, if
cannot
both
get- we
questions
cannot
pass,
go-
like I said, we can't go back because we've maxed out, unless they change the state statute that says, okay, now you can go to 0.5, which is not likely to happen in our lifetime. It's been there, that's the number. The only thing that changes our revenue is the EAV. That number could go down too, it has gone down when, you know, the housing crisis hit and your property values took a tank. You know, all of us in Illinois took a tank. So EAV drops, it goes into the multiplier, you get less money. But they both have to pass. They,
Do we have any new housing projects going up?
well, short of the big rebel rouse and misinformation out in Newman Homes where they're doing a townhome development there, what they were looking, they're planning, and the word came out that it was gonna be a Section 8 housing development, and that's where everybody went up in arms. And those of you who don't know what Section 8 is, it's subsidized housing. So the people living in there said, that's gonna drive our values down, we don't want that. But that's not what the guy was selling, the guy wants to make like townhouses that are condo units. He took the idea of, instead of selling condos as a, you know, high market thing, he's gonna rent these townhouses like condos. And they're starting at $2,500.